Welcome back, authors. I thought we should take a little break from the harsher side of the abuses that do not bruise. Being a person in the world requires us to constantly make mistakes until we learn better and improve our choices going forward. We have been doing so since we were born and knew nothing. Our stumbling steps and falls as we learn to walk are evidence of this growth. Our tale today is about mistakes I chose to make in the face of my abuse. I was in a very oppressive place. Once Steve moved into my world, my entire existence became regulated by a sadistic prick. My sleep, eating, cleaning, personal care, entertainment, and social life all became something I had to ask permission for. As I have mentioned before in my story, I have never taken to the mistreatment without a fight. Still, within this cage, without bars, I was limited on how I could fight back. I had noticed that I could perform compliance to survive the attacks. This allowed me to plan my counterattacks until I was able to act on them. By the time spring rolled around, my punishments had me grounded to my room. Unless I was performing a chore, doing a punishment, going to school, or eating, I found ways to bypass the stranglehold for many of the oppressions in place. My best friend, who lived a house away, would come to my bedroom window, climbing up the woodpile, to play with me. She would play in the winter just outside my window. Also, that I may watch, even if I couldn't play. My best friend kept me a part of the outside world in the midst of my prison. I am eternally grateful for her kindness and forgiveness of my shortcomings. To this day, we still have funny little ways of letting each other know we care, despite the busy lives we lead, keeping us apart. Silly things like giving each other a gift randomly. Our gift is any rock the size of your hand. They make excellent bookends that bring a little smile anytime you glance at them. Owning my abuse of her in those early years and taking accountability for it has given me one of my life's most cherished treasures: kinship. While this was breaking the rules set for me, it wasn't exactly an abuse without bruising. The second thing I began doing was stealing food. This was an abuse without bruising. To take what is not yours is abuse. The lies surrounding it cause harm far and wide, beyond the one done wrong. I may have been acting in desperation, but I was still abusing others. I hated it. I finally got caught just before the spring came. Steve gave me sentences when he and Mom found out what I had been doing. I have to admit, I got a thrill from seeing Steve look unsettled by my bad behavior. I didn't realize at the time it was because a discovery of my crimes would shed light onto his. Or else, I never would have stopped. I did notice how it gave me an advantage. It put Steve on the defensive, reducing his offensive attacks. He thought he would get clever with my punishment for being a thief. He told me I had to go to the store, admit what I had done, and accept the punishment they said I deserved. Punishment had become a profession for me by then, so when I got to the store and spoke with the owner, I turned the tables on Steve right in front of his face. I admitted my crime, apologized, and quickly added, "I will gladly do some work around here for free to pay for what I stole." As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I saw how pissed off it made Steve. His isolation of me kept me under his control. The suggestion I had made was responsible and enticing to the store owner. I could see he was impressed by my honesty and willingness to correct my bad behavior to his benefit. He agreed, and I began 2 months of Saturdays helping out around the wall. Stora might have been being punished, but this time it got me out of sitting in my room alone all weekend. Another thing I began to do was steal money from Steve. Do you remember me telling you I had become a reasonable lockpick? The windows were easy to figure out. but once the locks became key-latched, I had to improve my skills. The TV lock was more easily bypassed by removing the casing for the mechanics of the electronic device. From there, I just detached the wires and connected them by hand, so as kids could watch TV when Steve left us home alone. Once I had figured that out, I began trying to figure out the food cupboards. Those locks were far more complex, and I had to learn how those locks worked first. I decided to try on Steve's lockboxes. It took me a week, but eventually I got it figured out. It took me nearly the entire 3 years with him to figure out the food locks, but I eventually did. When I realized I could get into his money box, I began to steal $1 here and there to buy extra food for school lunch. It made me feel good for myself for a couple weeks, but soon I began to feel guilty about taking and only getting something that I should have had anyhow. I was in 4th grade and a classmate's house had burnt down, with her family losing their dad in the fire. She came to school each day a shell of herself, unable to share or join in with the rest of us who could not understand her pain. I began to give her the money. The family was in hard times before the fire, and now it was even worse. I wanted my abuse and subsequent crime to go towards someone else having it just a little bit easier. I managed to keep this up until the end of the school year, before I was caught and punished. The last thing I started to do was skip school. I would hide in the dugouts at the ball field on days I just could not bear to be seen by people who just could not understand my pain. This got noticed by the schools, and we all got called into the principal's office to address my absences. At this point, I was sent to see my first therapist. She was really nice, and I could tell she wanted to help me. The only problem was that she was seeing me as the problem. The first visit I was seen was with Mum and Steve there with me. This was when Steve set up the narrative. I watched him negotiate reality for this woman, so she saw things in the lens he wished her to see through. He told her how he believed all my acting out was due to him and Mum's engagement and the absence of my father. When I was finally alone in my sessions, I attempted to tell her what was happening, but I had limitations on what could be said. In preparation for my seeing the counselor, Steve made it clear that if I told them what was happening, they would arrest my mum, take us kids away and separate us forever. Things like Steve is the devil and he won't let me eat, as punishment got devalued in importance to the forewarned woman. She associated everything I tried to say to get her concern into my missing my father. I used this to my advantage. I was going to get no help for my issues in the home with Steve, but since they all wanted my need to be with my dad to be the issue, I ran with it. The therapist suggested that I should spend more time with Dad. I ended up getting even more weekends out of the house and my constant punishment. I never stopped trying to tell people outside of the home, but because I feared what Steve told me would happen, I couldn't bring myself to just outright spill the beans. My skipping school was an abuse without bruises. I was missing my education because I was mistreated. We find ways of fighting back when we are wrongly oppressed. Sometimes it is as small as making faces or mimicking their voice where they can't see or hear us, but it is defiance in the face of oppression. When we are oppressed for years, this defiance can erode away. We can become complacent in our abuse, accepting that this is just the way the world works. Authors, your defiance to being oppressed is not the problem. You being oppressed is. I do not advocate for anybody to become an abuser. I committed crimes and abuses to others through my actions, no matter the cause behind them. I also took responsibility for them. This is something I have continued to do my entire life because it serves me well. This has also made me a victim of abuse without bruising in my adult life, but that is for another chapter. Our value as a person is determined by ourselves. We have to have grace for ourselves and our wrongdoing, so we can believe in ourselves. Enough to do better. I hope you got a few laughs out of these tales of my bad behaviors. It is not that people choose to do wrong, it is that too often, people do not choose to do better. I was fortunate to love myself enough to keep trying to do better. I hope my story can encourage you, authors, to see where you can try to do better. Once you love yourself again, I fully believe in you. The abuses that do not bruise often take away our confidence of self, to replace it with the abuser's story, to replace it with red words. Our defiance in the face of oppression edits those words to purple. Have you defied your abuser? Have you locked yourself in the bathroom without needing it? To escape? That is defiance of your abuse. When you look, you will see how you have been fighting for you the whole time, authors, because you are worth fighting for. Cheers to the greatest defiance of the abuses that do not bruise, healing from it.